No, my fill tool isn't broke. My mind was broke and busted when I had done this picture here. And if you had seen the video, if not, that's cool. But I talked about it in a YouTube video I posted recently. I had accidentally merged all the layers, and by the time I found out, it was too late. It's too late. So I had my blue layer, which had all my scribbles underneath it. Anyway, so I had to export that, bring it into Photoshop, remove the blue lines. Excuse me, but even though we can't see the blue lines, that data apparently is still there. So it's hit and miss. Whenever I make a selection in something, it's pulling all the layers that are available, and it's making it Gross Town, like you guys have been seeing. But anyway, hello everybody, welcome. We're going to do a live Scribbles with Jonathan, and just to go over, once again, the format of the show. I'll be here for an hour, at least an hour. I've done some pre-shows before, sporadically, but there was a few people in the chat, so I figured what the hell, may as well. And all the pre-show is just music I'm listening to, whatever's going on while I'm working anyway. The only difference is I don't have a headset on, so I can't communicate, just so I can focus on getting the drawing done. But this hour is for you guys and you girls out there. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or anything like that that you think I may be able to help you with, by all means, please put it in the chat and just ask the question in all capitals. That way I can see it easier. And without further ado, get back to this. There's no new updates on my website like usual. No new articles that I've posted. I was thinking I was thinking of making one soon. So that, or talking about Guildborn, get that puppy going. I've come up with, so far anyway, the structure for the trilogy of books. But just because I want it to be a trilogy doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily happen. So that means each, or at least the first book anyway, has to be as good as I can possibly make it right now. And so have a general outline, a very rough outline of what that's about. And so the next step now is refining it, which I'll be doing behind the scenes for now. I will show you guys all that stuff later. But now I get to start doing some actual serious character designs. Oh, look at this. It's picking up all this garbage. So what you guys will see soon will be the... I guess we'll just be talking about, designing the main characters and all that fun stuff. And what I need to do as well is start to settle up on an actual style for the book. At first... You guys have probably seen it. It's these characters with the little black eyes and stuff, and I want to have a few characters that are like that. But the problem I was running into is when I just have those little black eyes, I can't really show emotion, and it's tough to just get away with just showing emotion with only body language, especially in a comic, for me anyways. And it's a little bit more of a cartoony style. So I started to look at anime and manga influences, especially like the Capcom artists. And for those of you who have checked out, I don't even know his name off the top of my head, but he's the Mega Man Zero artist. I just love that style, so I might start incorporating a little bit of that into the Guildborn book. But again, these are all experiments and tests to do when I can. Just finish inking these blacks, then we can render the hand here. Robson's got a question. I'm having trouble drawing what I like to call Spidey foot. A foot that's basically running in motion, so it's tilted up, although the leg is tilted down. Not sure I understand. A Spidey foot. A foot that's basically in running motion, so it's tilted up, although the leg is tilted down. Here, let's just make a new page here. So, do you mean something like, we'll see, these are the hips. So we on the ground. this foot is kind of up like that. It's coming towards us a little bit. More extreme. Okay, let's see what we got here. Paste and go. Okay, so yeah, I guess I was on the right track with this. Usually how I'll do it is, here, let me just back it up so we can see it. So, knowing the placement of it, I like the triangle shape for the feet. We'll just pretend the ground's right here. Not that it really matters, but once I have this, I kind of honestly eyeball it myself. I know the triangle shape is where I want it to stay, so I'll think of the heel, the curving in to the front of the foot. I don't know, again, how high you're going with that. And then just kind of think of it like the forearm, or the wrist going into the forearm, even though it's just the leg. So if I lower the opacity, just draw a little bit better there. So be something like that. Yeah, like whenever I draw hands or even feet, that's what I like to try to do. So if we drew like just like a generic leg standing sideways, you know, get the gesture just to get it planted in there, so that then I can worry about, okay, where exactly do I want to start pushing and pulling shapes and stuff, then worry about your anatomy after. So again with the foot there. Stuff like that. Yep. Problem. Okay, so let's minimize that sucker and get this guy. Alright, so let's start rendering this out. So we've got this lady saying, oh, I should probably just go over what we're drawing here. So this is, again, the double page spread that I've been working with you guys on forever. And now finally getting to the inking part here. The background characters, all that action in the back, I'm going to use some pretty simple shading and rendering. And try to pop this guy over here a little bit more than he is. Because I do have to color this. And when I color my stuff, I like to color some open-ended art. I think my stuff looks pretty good anyway when it's drawn, or when it's colored, if it's drawn with some openness. And what I mean by openness is that it's not rendered all hell. I enjoy rendering and stuff, but you know, the last little while anyway, I've started to try to get away from it as much as I kind of can on my own stuff, throwing it in when it's needed, but just keeping it clean, I guess, keeping it clear. There's some artists out there that render a lot, and I used to look up to a lot of those guys and girls, and then I started finding out these other artists that were drawing with very little rendering at all. And I would start to hear like feedback from fans on those characters or those cats' work, and nobody, like, I never really heard anybody talk about like, oh well, this guy or girl sucks because they don't render. And I always believed for a long time that like rendering, unfortunately, made your art. And it's actually, now I think anyway, it's a really horrible way to, and a really negative way to look at comics and just art in general. So it's just, you know, whatever feels good to you, just kind of do that. Alright, so that hand's fine. I don't think we need to add anything else. So just getting punched. Let's just make another layer so we can worry about the guys back here. Alright, now I want to draw this guy up. I've been waiting to ink this guy for so long, so it's time to get in there and just screw it up. Where's my reference? Yeah, Lilac is saying rendering like that takes so much time. I've spent the last 6 months just trying to stop it. Yeah, and I do want to say that it's time is probably the biggest reason, even though I just said all that stuff. But time is definitely a huge factor in why I want to try to stop it. I suppose there's an argument that could be made that the more you draw, the faster you'll get in general, which is true. And your rendering will get faster. That's definitely true. But if I can get away with doing some minimal rendering, just whenever it's needed, you know, then, and it can let me hammer out more stories, then I'm more towards that. And we're getting some other cool opinions there that I kind of agree with. Over rendering can slow the pacing down. Yep, I mean there's an argument for that too. That the more detailed the picture is, the more time somebody will spend on it. And I don't know if that's necessarily true all the time, but I could see that argument as well. I don't even know where the light source is in this picture, to be honest with you guys. I'm just gonna make it up. Alright, so we've got this big blast coming from this Iron Man kind of character, so we'll make that the light source. I don't even know what I put on this guy's head. So we're gonna just get a little quick cast shot over there. Alright, this is gonna be the tricky part. We got a lot of stuff going on with his neck here. A lot of stuff here I don't want to lose. So I'm just going to be kind of precious with the inks and the triangle shapes that we're going to throw in here. Again, a lot of this is going to get covered up once we get into coloring. But whether or not they should be or they shouldn't be, I'm going to put some highlights in here just to help give it some strain. Alright, let's get his arm here. What I would like to do is, if I'm lucky, we'll get this all inked and wrapped up with the stream. That way I can get onto the flats, and maybe I'll save a little bit of coloring for next. Well, no, I can't. I got to get this done. Maybe I'll do a little video on it. I don't think I've done too many videos on coloring. I'm not sure if there's really a demand for that kind of stuff. I'm not the best colorist on that. Let's come over here, see how that's looking. Okay, we got a second arm here. So is anybody in the chat room working on any personal projects right now? Ah, right on. Alright, so he's got this big beefy bicep too. His tricep. And Drew saying, yep, but still stuck at writing because I'm an artist first, still reading lots of books on writing. But nothing teaches you how to stick to an idea and run with it. No, it doesn't. That's like that, I guess that's the artist in you, where you'll hear a lot of people say, gotta stick with, somebody told me this, I thought it was funny, sticking with something that's not the new and the shiny. And seeing an idea all the way through. So, I know your pain. Okay. Yeah. It's funny, I'm trying to keep these guys pretty clean of any kind of rendering and shadow, so I feel like there's not much work to do on them. Alright, let's add some line weights to this. Actually, I'm gonna put some shadow for these guys' face just to get that jaw clench thing. I finished a script, showed it to a lot of friends, and they told me I suck. I stick to drawing from now. That sounds, I don't know. I don't know your friends, but they sound like a bunch of douchebags. I apologize if I offend you with that, but if all your friends are going to tell you is it sucks, then I don't think those are the right people you should be showing it to. If you could find some artist friends to show it to. Although I guess it depends on your age too. If you're a younger cat, then that probably makes a lot more sense why your friends would say that. Drew's asking, whatever happened to the waking up early and drawing thing? Do you do that still? No, I don't do that still, and that's more of a laziness thing on my side, I guess. I went back to the bad. Well, there's two reasons. One are the reason it's my fault is the lazy and the bad habits where it's staying up after work to do comic book work is very difficult, and sometimes going to bed and then sleeping in feels good. However, waking up early, I was seeing crazy results. It's extremely positive, at least experiences I had in it. And the second reason was my life, I guess. So if I work from 8:30 to 4:30, everybody else in my life only gets until about, because I'd be in bed by, what was it, 9? 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Yeah, I'd be in bed by 9. So by the time I got home from work, I'd have 3 hours to do life stuff. So whether it was grocery shop, hang out with real people, family, and and I'd always have that itch to at least work a little bit when I got home too. So it was, I don't know, it was tough. But I guess if I had kids and I was married or something, it'd be easier. And I don't know why that is. But I would definitely like to do it again. Because like I say, the results I was getting from it, definitely worth the pain of getting up. You get used to the getting up at 4 a.m. stuff, but at first it was, once you get off that horse and you start getting back into like what normal people live like, into bed by like 11 or 10 or even midnight every night. Going from that to waking up at 4 a.m. every day is just, it's tough. And then when you slip out of that, trying to get back into it, oof, it's like you effed up and you have to retrain your body all over again. But your body desperately wants to not do work, I find anyway. And then when you start to take sleep away, you start to make excuses with yourself. At least I'm talking all about my own personal preferences on this stuff where it's, oh, I'll go to bed early tonight so I can get up early to work tomorrow, and then you wake up early, and then it's just like, well, maybe it wasn't that important, and then it just gets pushed back, and that's not good. Lilac is saying, do artists really benefit from actually writing the story rather than drawing it out, say in Eric Larson, Frank Miller fashion? I'm not 100% what their style is or whatever, but I guess it just depends on the artist. Depends on you. And it depends on the project too. I personally don't like the idea of just jumping into a story myself and just drawing it as I go, because I don't know where I'm going. And I like to have maps. I like to have an idea of where I'm going, and I could think in my mind, like, let's say I invented a superhero comic to do, and I have to make him fight a bad guy or something. But like, what happens after that? And some people, they feed off that kind of stuff, right? You just gotta find out who you are. I know myself, if I'm doing stories, I like the idea of coming up with a script. And the script won't be as fleshed out as if I was handing it off to another artist, though. Like, there's things that I would leave out unless I'm getting people to proofread it, and then, you know, there's some stuff going on there. But yeah, I prefer to work from a script. Another benefit I have too that I like when I work that way is if I work with a script, whether the dialogue's finished or not, just working with a script, that's like one part I don't have to worry about once it's finished, right? All I need to worry about after that is just making it look really cool, as cool as I can make it. If I can do that, then we're all right. We're all right. Lilac is saying, I leave out everything but the general page plot. There's no panel by panel description. My stuff, not from a writer. Yep, that's definitely one way to do it. I don't know if you put your dialogue in as well. And I suppose it depends on, you know, there's certain things that I like in a story that I would like to be able to put in a page. And I'm not at a point yet where I can just trust myself to figure things out as I go. So an example would be, I'm a big fan of reveals, you know, and to me, one of the coolest things that you can do with a reveal is some foreshadowing. Something you've established early on that comes back later to do something very important, or that all of a sudden makes sense. And if I can't plot that out in a script, if I don't plot that out in a script, then I might lose that. Because knowing whether or not to put something in the first couple pages might slip my mind because I'm caught in the moment of like the plot or the current page problem. You know, like if the first 5 pages are a chase scene, I might forget to put in, you know, the main character trips over something, we'll say, and what they trip over actually ends up being a magic system that is how the main character gets introduced into the world of magic, we'll say. This is all very vague, but if I forget to, if I script that wrong, it's like I miss out on a chance to add something really cool for the readers to just kind of like sit back and, oh yeah, I remember that. Because like I say, I know myself when I read comics or anything in general and watch movies, all that stuff, those reveals at the end where you're like, oh, that's why this and that. I like that kind of stuff. So if I can figure out a way to just incorporate that into the script early, then I'm okay. should also note this is all coming from a guy who has yet to write a comic. So, a long form comic, we should say. I've done small, minier stuff and shorts, but so take it all with a grain of salt. Yeah, I saw you guys were talking in the chat earlier about not liking Cintiqs or something, or I misread something. Something about you guys prefer tablets, which is pretty cool. I just wanted to ask you guys why that was. If you just like the feel of it, the controller. I think somebody even brought up that Cintiqs are just a little bit too expensive for what they do, and I can't really argue it. They're pricey. Alright. Oh, okay. So Drew is saying he prefers a tablet, so my hand doesn't cover up the image. So let's see how these guys are all looking. Okay. Let's get these two dudes. And we're about halfway done the show. So again, for if there are any new people in the chat room, if you like any comments or questions, or if you have any comments or questions, just make an account and dump it in the chat room. Post it in all caps, and hopefully I can help you out. If it's like a how to draw or anything like that, by all means, toss it in there. Don't be shy, and hopefully I can help you out. Help you out. Sometimes people running alone, like a little dust in the wind. Is there a way to make the brush lighter? We use less pressure. Is there a way to make the brush lighter without less pressure? That I'm not sure of. Your best bet would probably be going into your Wacom tablet settings, and you can actually, and if you haven't done this already, you can actually make it so that even if you press hard, it's pretty light. So you just gotta find. I find using the tablet or Cintiq or whatever the hell you're using, there's two things you get. Well, there's a few things you have to relearn. One is definitely how to use the tools. They do feel a little different than like a real, air quotes there, a real pen or pencil. So they do take some getting used to, but it's definitely doable. Just gotta have some patience and willingness to learn. Can't express that enough. I've had a lot of emails sent to me about oh, I can't do this or that, and I would just reply with a quick question like, how long have you been drawing with it? And a lot of people would say, well, I just got it, or I draw like, I don't know, 10 minutes or 15 minutes a day till I get frustrated. These are not good answers. These are really, actually, they're horrible replies. Because I can't imagine the same rules would apply to these people who say that they like drawing, and the first time they picked up a pencil they hated it, so they stopped trying. That doesn't really make much sense. I think you just need to put aside the emphasis of time. Like, you can't really put a clock on getting good. You can put a goal or a drive to something you'd like to achieve, like I want 10 illustrations by summer or something like that, and that is something you can strive for. But I can't see somebody saying I want to be drawing like this person in X amount of months. You can make the goal and strive for it, but if you miss it, if all of a sudden you go, well, I didn't get it, so this is stupid, that's a really poor way of learning how to draw. The other thing too is like if you have unrealistic goals or unrealistic expectations, like if you want to have 10 kick-ass illustrations and you give yourself a week, but you're just learning charcoal and you want these to be in charcoal, you need to practice this stuff. It's no different. And it's going to be frustrating and it's not going to look good, but if you really want to get better, like I've been drawing on a tablet since, oh geez man, probably I had an old Graphire, Wacom Graphire tablet. It was a small little guy, and it was one of those ones, I don't even know if they still make them. I'd imagine they do, but it's like what you would draw on was a plastic sheet that you could lift up. And basically, you could put another piece of paper underneath it and you could trace over top of it. It didn't work very well. But I remember trying to just draw digitally and do concept art and paintings and stuff, and they were atrocious. I didn't know like color, how to blend or anything like that. These are still things I'm trying to get better at, but they were just bleh, just gross. That light source is gross. It's getting blasted in the chest. You wouldn't have light there. How long ago was that? Damn. Graduated high school in 2000. So maybe around like 2002. 2002, around there. So that's like, what, 12 to 14 years of drawing digital? And then getting a Cintiq. I've had this for, I think this is 2 years, maybe going on 3 years that I've just been drawing on this stuff. And I'm still not where I would like. Like, I feel there's still effects that I can do with just a regular Bic pen or a pencil that I like the result of my art that better than like how I'm drawing right now. But the only reason I actually stick with this is because of the speed it gives me, and I want to get better at it. I like drawing digital. It's fun, even though I think I get better results with other things. These are all questions you got to ask yourself. I can't tell you the right or wrong answer, and I find it funny that all this is coming from somebody just asking about changing pressure sensitivity. see what we got here. I know you guys are. Robson was saying he's been drawing comics digitally for 2 years now, and only last month had the balls to start using proper ink brush. Takes time. Yep, that's still something I would like to do that I have yet to do. Is I've used a brush pen, but I've never actually used a quill or anything like that. I have the ink and all the tools. I bought them, just haven't picked them up either. And Drew built what? The Yanova is hella ugly, but I might do the trick. I like Wacom, but have bad experiences with the branded tablets. Yep. Scott's Cartoons is saying, with the Cintiq, you are drawing directly on the screen, just like you would draw directly on paper. What is not natural about that? Love my old 21-inch Cintiq, the large work here. That's one thing I would honestly love, is like the huge mofo, just to see how that feels. If it actually, I'm assuming it's worth the money. Well, I don't know if anything's worth that kind of money, but being able to draw on that is pretty cool. I think I know what he's saying though, Scott, where he probably prefers to work digital, and that's probably why he doesn't draw on paper anymore. And maybe that was one of the reasons why he made the switch, was being able to draw without his hand getting in the way. I know that sounds really weird for most of us, right? Because most of us learn to draw by drawing on paper, which is the exact same thing as a Cintiq. It feels like you're drawing on glass, which doesn't feel right, but and I don't want to put excuses or words in your mouth, as do I, but yep, it's all good stuff. And Drew replied with, Scott, it's more natural, but for me, the distance between the cursor and the pen tip distracted me. Probably would get used to it, but I love the hand-eye corner. Okay, okay. I know what you're talking about, that one. Wow, you got it. See, I've always tried to find it used, but there's none ever around near me anyway. That's good to hear it. Actually, some kind of cool news is that my job, they've been talking about maybe getting one of these juicy Cintiqs, and I think that'd be really, really wild. I could see if it's worth. Man, I can't even think about spending that kind of money. If I don't know. Maybe one day I'll buy one for myself, but it's a lot of money. I don't know if I regret buying the smaller one, because you know, I love it. I love working on the small Cintiq. If I was doing a lot of color work, maybe I would think differently, but you guys all know most of my work's black and white, and it works beautiful. But if I could do it over again, I can't say that. I'd say if I would do it over again, I would actually buy the big one just to experiment with it, but then I would never know what it's like to use a smaller guy, right? So it's one of those loopy questions that has no real answer. How much time we got left? 15 minutes. Alright guys, we got 15 minutes again, and one more time real quick, just in case there's more cats that popped in from the chat. If you guys have any comments or questions or need any help drawing on anything, and I might be able to help you with it, by all means, please just ask the question in the chat and put it in all capital letters so that I can see it easier. And if I can help you, I will. Darken all this up here. Alright, let's shade all the leg meat. We we started playing this really cool game at work. I don't know if you guys like video games or not, but have you guys ever heard of Hearthstone? If you like card games or Magic the Gathering kind of stuff, it's not like those games. It is a card game though, a digital card game. It's a load of fun. Lilek is asking, John, would love some tutorials about extreme head-face perspectives like upshot or just behind the ear. Ooh, now we're getting into the stuff that's makes my stomach sink. Those are the complicated things. Well, I will try to help you out. Just 1 second. Oh, looky here, looky here. A blue pixel. It didn't get rid of all of them. So let me finish inking this guy's leg here, and then I will attempt to draw some extreme angle stuff. The reason why I said that it makes my stomach sink is it's one of those things that you're touching on a subject that I don't think I'm that good in. So when I try to help you out, I'm going to be fumbling around and not too confident on it. That's the beauty in it. That's the beauty. So we get better, right? Okay. We'll learn together. What's the question, Mysterious? Alright, so I'm just zoom out here just to see how the blasted. Cool. Alright, so these are all done. The only thing I got left to ink really is I have to break up these buildings just a little bit. Okay, I'll just show you this real quick too. But oh, okay. A lot of people don't like doing digital backgrounds because they can look stale and stuff. I can agree. One real quick trick you could do is if you just get it done, add your shadows and stuff to it, like your core shadows, and then just grab white and then just like sporadically do this. Draw all over lines, anything except your outside contour line. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually redraw over them, but we're going to make it look like it's broken up. So what you're doing is you're just adding some random texture to spots to make it look, I don't necessarily say that it was hand drawn, but it looks like it has that illusion, maybe. And if you can nail that, then I prefer it because it starts to give it that look, that it's not so straight on. And you know, I'll do this, I'll throw some rendering in just to break her up. And this guy here, we'll just kind of chip away at it. And there's no real reason that a building would have like pebbles or whatever the hell those are on it, but sometimes it just looks cool. And if it looks cool, I find not too many people stare at it for too long. They just want to go on to the next cool thing. So we'll just sort of like nonsense rendering here, like just like why is that there? And I might actually add some white speed lines to this. Anyway, so if you zoom out, I don't know how well you guys can see it. It really doesn't look like there's too much added there. Yes, there is a way to import SketchUp file in Manga Studio. I've never been able to get it to work. A 3D file, yes, that you can move around. My computer lags all hell. I believe I found a resource on YouTube, so just check that out, or it may have been on DeviantArt. I don't want to spend too much time rendering these guys out. I'm just going to start throwing some wild rendering on the background here. just to throw some stuff on there. Okay, cool. So stop that there. And alright, let's try really quickly before the show's done here to do some extreme angles, some extreme angels. Alright, so a head looking, what do we do first one? The hard one, I don't think people like doing looking up. So we'll do our 3/4 first, because that's how we like to do it. So I like to just gesture in a shape. When you look up, if you touch your jawbone, it's pretty huge, so that's what I'm thinking of there. Now the idea of this is that exact same shape. Think of it like a cylinder. Okay? And we've got this shape kind of going up. And if you can think of that the whole way through, you can actually start throwing shapes on. So I'll just show you guys real quick. So right here would be our chin. I like to throw that guy in there like a block. And you could actually use the round shape if you want. I like to straighten it out just a bit. Some people throw in the jawbone like this. Just do what you want. And that sucker connects to the chin. You just gotta, I remember, look at like, just when you draw something straight on, the same rules are there. So some people, they like to draw a skeleton here. That helps. If you can remember what a skeleton looks like, do the best you can anyway. You guys probably can't even tell what the hell's going on. All this blue is starting to get together. So the nose, a bunch of triangles kind of looking up. So I just want to flip this here just so I can see it different angle. Follow those lines down there. And the neck actually wraps around a little bit here at the jawbone and goes down. Depends on how like beefy of a neck you like. I like giant necks on my guys, but that's fine. So this plane here actually looks like this. But there's an Adam's apple that usually pops up like that. So it's not, you know, curves in like that, and the other shadow would be down there. So let's try to throw some lines in there so you can see. I like to start with the nose, usually all the time. Then the mouth, trying to follow that curve. Put the bottom one in there if you like to. Remember the eyelid, or the eye starts kind of where the nose is, but when the more extreme you get, the harder that is to see. Let's just flip it here so we can see. And the earlobe would be bigger than the rest of the ear because it's closer towards us. Now, okay, so like I've already said, I'm not very confident and comfortable with drawing faces like this, so it usually takes me quite a while to do some redos and stuff, but I will definitely look at reference. Now the reference you look at is pretty important. I think most people like to look at their favorite artists, which for a while is good. What's bad about that for me is that it's handicapping me from actually understanding why I'm drawing it. Because if I can't draw this angle, it's a lack of understanding. There's still certain things, for whatever reason, it could just be I haven't studied enough, or it could be my brain hasn't had a chance to, for whatever reason, properly figure this out for me just yet. And if that's the case, then what I'll do is I'll grab like an anatomy book and just kind of go over how they draw heads looking up, because there's probably certain areas that you're missing. So let's just shade this as if the light was coming down above them. Starting to flatten it out now if we do it like that. Yeah, that looks shitty. Anyway, let's go with that, and then I guess an extreme looking down view. I like to worry about where the eyes kind of are when you're looking down on something. That would be the top of the hair and the scalp. Cheekbones, jawbones, chin. So I'll do these kinds of lines too, following down, just so I can see the extreme angle that these things are falling on. And again, going right with the nose. That one's off. Yep. And the last one here we'll do real quick was from behind the guy who's looking off into the distance. That one's kind of, I don't want to say simple for me, but if you think of it like drawing in profile as opposed to like shooting the head that way, you got this here. So you got the profile. If you just take the point of the triangle and you bring her up, you give it a chin and you bring it over, that's how you can kind of establish the side of the head. And you can get the cranium in there. And then this is where you can start putting all your muscles. I don't think we'd see his nose. Like that. yeah, so something like that. So as you can see, like the side here, I'm used to doing these kinds of shots. You saw how quickly it came out. And then you look at these two, and they look real goofy. So I'm just like you guys in a lot of areas. There's things I need to get better at too. But as long as you keep drawing it, I mean, hopefully you get better, right? That's the point. Little mohawk. Okay, well, thanks everybody for stopping by once again. I appreciate it. If you came into this stream a little bit later, the stream is every Wednesday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're here right now, just look at the clock, subtract an hour, and that's when the show starts. I'm not sure if we'll do the pre-show again next week. I want to say we will. But in case we don't, I apologize. So again, guys, thanks again for stopping by. Keep reading comics, keep making comics, and I'll see you next week.